Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
We got a solo session today, everybody. Just me, you, talking sports. You guys had so much fun when I did this last week at David Bruton's reading session. So I figured, why not throw it back, join in the comments. There's a ton to discuss today, which is why I didn't want to have some specific show, because we have to talk about Jamal Murray, the rumors going on right now around him. Not good. We need to talk about the Valeri Nichushkin situation, because the saga continues yet again with all of his YouTube comments. Is Courtland Sutton all in this Broncos season? We have to get into that, because to be honest, I really do think he kind of is. So there's plenty to dive into. Come hang out, grab a cup of coffee. Let's chill. Let's talk some sports for the next 15, 20 minutes while you have a little bit of a coffee break. And then, we'll get all into it. So I feel like we have to start with Courtland Sutton. There's been a lot of drama, obviously, when it comes to the wide receiver and what's been going on with him and how he didn't show up to OTAs but shows up to mini camp. And everyone's like, is Courtland Sutton actually all in? Courtland Sutton's all in, you guys. I feel like he is. He's just trying to get a point across of like, hey, I really do want to get paid like some of these big guys. Now, does he deserve to get paid like him? No. Can you, what's the worst thing you can do? You can try and talk about it. You can try and hint at it and say, please, I want to get paid. And that can happen. But Courtland Sutton joins, obviously, Stidham-led workouts. Okay, interesting detail on this. Obviously, we learned Jarrett Stidham's hosting a bunch of the offensive players near his town in Texas. I don't know if Zach Wilson was there, or not Zach Wilson, Bo Nix, excuse me. If Bo Nix went to this, it doesn't necessarily say Mike Kliss is the one who reported it. Obviously, it was Courtland Sutton being the big name that everyone's like, is Courtland Sutton going to go? Does he have any beef with any of these quarterbacks? Is he sick of all of this? He ends up showing up. But Bo Nix, I don't know if he was there. I follow his wife on Instagram, and they were in Hawaii for what seems like the past 10 days or so. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure on all of the details. So I'm like, maybe Bo Nix wasn't there, which would be a little bit interesting. That's all I'm going to point out on that. So I'm reading Mike Kliss's news article right now, and obviously I'm like, there's no Bo Nix in here. We know Jarrett Stidham's obviously in the quarterback talk with Bo Nix and Zach Wilson and all of that jazz. We also know that Zach Wilson was in Italy getting engaged, which was really exciting for him. So I wonder if he came back in town and all of that jazz. But I do believe that Courtland Sutton is really going to be all in for this Broncos season. And I think that the contract stuff will get figured out. Do I think they're going to re-sign him? I really don't. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't see him signing, or I don't see them getting a deal done. There's no reason to. He has to hit 1,000 yards this season. That's the one thing he has to do. And if he can do that, perfect. Then I do think that he'll get his big contract extension. But they've got nothing to pay him for right now. There is absolutely nothing that he's done to earn himself a contract extension. And I know he wants the guaranteed money and all that jazz, but what has he done? Truthfully, since he got hurt, since he's recovered back from injury, Courtland Sutton has done absolutely nothing really out there. So yes, he may be wide receiver number one on this team, but that doesn't mean that he needs to be paid like a wide receiver number one in the league, because he wouldn't be. He would be a wide receiver 2 or 3, possibly even 4 on some other teams. So don't pay Courtland Sutton, but I do believe that he is all in. Happy Tuesday, Rachel. It's always nice seeing you. Have a great day. Paul, what's up? Happy Tuesday. Thank you for spending just a little bit of time with me here. I'm excited to just have a solo session today, sit down and talk some sports with you guys. I feel like sometimes we get all caught up in we have to make sure that we have a topic and all of that jazz. We're just all wanting to talk sports. That's what makes sports so freaking cool. So excited about it. Thank you guys for hanging with me. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the thing. I love doing these solo sessions because it's just me and you guys talking, which is so much fun. I went to the Morgan Wallen concert a few weeks ago when he was in town. And it was so cool because so many of you guys came up to me and you were like, go Broncos and all sorts of stuff. And I love being able to chat with you. So that's kind of the best part about my job, is being able to talk sports with a lot of you guys and just be real and open and honest about where we think different teams are and all that kind of jazz. So I do appreciate it. And I always love being able to chat with you. So again, that's the best part of my job. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. Good afternoon, Rachel. Eddie, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Tuesday here with me. How are you guys feeling about Courtland Sutton? Are we on the ins or are we on the outs with him? Because some people I feel like got really, really offended with all of the stuff that he did on social media. And some people are like, you know what? He's an emotional guy. It is what it is. Let's see what he can actually do on the field. So I'm very curious. Let me know what you guys think. Always good to listen to you. Thank you so much for spending just a little bit of time. How many wins do you think the Broncos will have? Well, it's a tough question. I do not think that they are going to make the playoffs. I know Cecil Lammy, God bless Cecil Lammy. He is so optimistic about this Denver Broncos team, and I love him for that. But he thinks that they're going to be a 9-10 win team. I think we're going to be lucky if we see 6 wins. Their November calendar is rough. When you got Kansas City, you got the Ravens. Like, that's a tough schedule, especially towards the middle of the season. So I'm going probably right around that 6 to 7 game mark when it comes to the Denver Broncos. Like, that's where I feel like they could really shine, but they have to get to a fast start too. You got to go into Seattle and you've got to win week 1. I mean, are you going to beat Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers? Personally, I don't think so. I think Russ is going to come back and get his revenge. Even though I'm totally on the train that like Russ is not the same Russ as he was in Seattle. So I don't think that will end up happening anytime soon. But I think there's a 50-50 shot that the Broncos can win in week 2 against Pittsburgh. But like I said, you just really got to get off to a fast start. You got the Jets, you got Aaron Rodgers week 3. You can get off to a fast start. You can win 7, maybe 8 games. But I have no clue who's going to be the quarterback. I feel like every single day I flip back and forth where I'm like, okay, it's going to be Bo Nix, or it's going to be Jared Stidham. I don't think Zach Wilson will be in the conversation. He just did not look good at OTs or minicamp. I'm going to be really interested to see what he looks like at training camp. And I really hope Sean Payton just figures it out and says, you know what? Even if it's week 1, we're taking this down to a 2 quarterback battle. We're not going to do this 3 QB thing. The only reason I think that it's going to go until the very end of training camp is Sean Payton is a very prideful person, which yes, he's prideful, and yes, he has success and all of this stuff. He's considered a quarterback guru, but he brought in Zach Wilson for a reason. So I think it'll be that 3-man rotation, which I personally just do not love. Okay, some of your other comments. Let's see. I can see us picking top 5 in the draft next year. A lot of people have the Broncos picking top 5 in the draft. I was talking with, I don't remember who actually. It was, we were in like our weekly meeting. So it was James Marilat, Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason, Jake Shapiro, Will Peterson, and myself. And we were sitting there talking, and it was like talking about Buffalo or something, about how they've never won a championship. And we're all sitting there like, oh my gosh. And we've won like 7 in our lifetime, for my lifetime, for Will's lifetime. And it's just a reminder of how lucky we've actually had it here in the Mile High City when it comes to, obviously, the Nuggets won their first championship. The Avs have won 3. The Broncos have obviously won a few Super Bowls too. So it's crazy. And to think Buffalo's never won any championships, like that's just absolutely insane. No Super Bowls for the Bills or anything. I don't know. It's just wild. And then I'm like, every single team's going to have their highs and they're going to have their really lows, and we are just in the lows. I think Broncos could possibly be in the top 5 next year. And then that opens the question too of everybody's like, oh, Shedeur Sanders, could he become a Bronco? Could he stay in the Mile High City? I don't want Shedeur. I'm sorry. I know I'm the hater. We'll see what he does this fall. But right now I'm like, no to Shedeur. Okay. Mixed emotions on Sutton. I'm like, you haven't done much to have him extended. He hasn't done anything. We're talking a 700-yard season last year. Like, that's nothing. So I don't know where he is getting this, like, oh, I deserve a contract extension. Dude, you've done nothing. Quite literally. And everyone's like, well, look at who we had throwing to him, which I'm on board. Russell Wilson wasn't very good last year. I've said it multiple times, but he was still the main target for Russell Wilson. So you only got 700 yards. Not worth it. Not worth it at all. Let's see. Picking top 5 doesn't mean Knicks didn't work out. This O-line needs help, and so does the D. So it's so interesting that you bring up the offensive line, because a lot of those guys are obviously coming back. You've got McGlinchey. I call him McFlinchy. Don't hate me for that. You've got Garrett Bowles coming back. Obviously, Lloyd Cushenberry is not out there anymore, so you have a new center with Luke Wattenberg, which is who I truthfully believe will be starting. That's who we saw pretty much all throughout minicamp. So I do think that it'll be Luke, but they have a lot of time that they've actually spent together. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a bust when it comes to the O-line. Defensively, yes, they lost a lot of players. Justin Simmons is obviously the big one. You still have Pat Surtain. Put Pat Surtain to the test. I know not a lot of quarterbacks are going to throw towards him, so it's going to really come down to what it looks like on the other side of the ball. But I think that I don't think the defense will be as bad as we think. Hopefully there's no 70 burgers hung on them again this year, but of course we will see. Will we be better than the Chargers and the Raiders? That's actually a really good question. Will we be better than the Chargers and the Raiders? I don't know if they'll be better than the Chargers. I just don't. Justin Herbert, I think he's going to just shine, obviously, with the new head coach. I don't know. The Chargers are going to Charger, so that's where I struggle when it comes to them. And like, it's the most Charger thing ever. But I do think that they will be a little bit better. The Raiders, Antonio Pierce, I think that's going to be really interesting, that dynamic. But I mean, he was solid. Obviously, that's why they ended up keeping him with the job and hiring him and not going a different route. So I think it's all going to be all mixed in. Let's see. Yeah, some people are saying better than the Raiders, not the Chargers. I kind of agree with that when it comes to Harbaugh. It'll be interesting. Okay, I do want to move on though, because these shows always go too quick. We will return back to Broncos. Obviously, I see a lot of people coming in with all of those, but I also saw this. Do you think having to deal with so many painkillers the last few seasons starting the Cup run could have contributed to Val's substance abuse problem? Okay, so talking about this, I want to make sure that we're very clear on how I want to address this. I'm not accusing him of anything. Obviously, we know that there was some sort of problem. That's why he's now in phase 3 of the NHL and NHLPA player assistance program. So I want to make sure that I'm not accusing him of anything of that sort of nature. But his interview that he comes out with, if you haven't seen it already, it's in Russian, so people have had to translate it. But he comes in and talking about how, he was dealing with a lot of pain. And we all know Val was playing the Cup run on a broken foot. That's why he was in a cast for the parade. I saw him get out of a wheelchair on the parade route, getting ready to go out there. He was playing with a broken foot. I can't imagine how incredibly painful that is. If you ever put on ice skates, then you know how hard it must be to slide your foot into it. Brutal. So I do think that there is a possibility that that could have kickstarted a lot of things. And again, I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm simply just stating some of the quote unquote rumors that are going around in this situation is that he has been having to deal with this, and obviously the shoulder thing. The only thing that I'm not 100% sure is everyone's saying, oh, well, Val said it was an injury. If it was an injury related thing, 100% the Avs would have covered their butt and came out and said it was injury related. Why would you not say that? Fans would have got that. Media would have got it. Everybody would have understand, oh, he's dealing with a shoulder injury. But it's a personal issue. It was never about injury. It was a personal issue. Jared Bednar said it was a personal issue, all of that jazz. So I do think there are some truths to this story. I also think that there are some non-truths to the story just from stuff that I've heard, but I really don't know what to think about the whole Val situation. I think him talking is definitely not helping his case with the Avs and them wanting to bring it out. Now, this interview was done before the playoffs even began. So interesting, but I don't think it's really helping his overall look. We know that he is playing some hockey over in Russia for a charity event, but we'll see what the Avs obviously end up doing. So this is a true statement, though. Val gave his own foot to get us a cup. He was playing with a broken foot, and he had to go out there and shove that in an ice skate, and that's just brutal all the way around. Okay, let's get into Jamal Murray. Questionable. So Ryan Blackburn over at Malachi Sports did a awesome article that everyone should definitely go check out. I want to make sure that I get his tweet correct. So let me just read this. He had tweeted out, the Nuggets and Jamal Murray have not yet agreed to a contract extension. Negotiations are still ongoing, and there's a possibility that this will become a bigger story than anticipated after Shams declared an expected deal on draft night. Then Ryan goes on to say, it's very possible that this gets done over the next few days, but everything that I've heard, both sides are protecting themselves in negotiations, and a straight up plain max extension offer without any stipulations has not been offered by the team. So we obviously don't know what these stipulations could possibly be. It opens up a lot of conversations. A lot of rumors are starting to fly, obviously. And then we have some other people that have obviously talked to Nuggets PR who are saying, don't worry, when he comes back from Paris after playing for Team Canada, he's going to sign everything. Nobody needs to worry about it. There's faxes all over the world. You can easily sign something. Your agent can easily get you something however it needs to. There's another reason that we're not seeing him sign. I don't know what it could be. I don't know if it could deal with injury clauses or anything. Jamal Murray is also probably smart enough to know that if he would have an amazing next season, he would get paid a lot more money. Like he would be seeing a nice big maximum contract payday, but he has to make the All-Star game to be able to do that. So I don't know what sides they're trying to protect and all this kind of stuff, but I do think there was some truth. If you watched Coffee Break yesterday, James Merilatt hinted at the idea that Calvin Booth was in Europe not to go watch Concar play. Like that's kind of whatever, but to actually go and talk to Nikola Jokic because there seems to be some drama. I don't know what the drama is. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do know 100% everything that's going on. There's stuff going on behind the scenes. There has to be some stuff going on behind the scenes. And I don't know if that's what happened with KCP leaving or anything of that nature, but there definitely seems to be some drama with Jamal Murray, with Nikola Jokic, with everybody behind the scenes, with Calvin Booth, with the Cronkies. There's something going on, and I feel like we're all going to find out about it sooner rather than later, but just very, very, very interesting for sure. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning. Thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with me. What are you most interested in? Are you most interested in the Broncos, the Avalanche, or the Nuggets? Let me know in the comments because there's a lot of talk, obviously, about all three of those topics right now, which is why I was saying I love doing these solo sessions because I just get to sit here and talk sports with you guys, and that's like the highlight of my day. Literally, it's just me, 300 of you guys right now at this exact moment, sitting down here and talking sports and just hanging out, which is really, really fun. And again, it's 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? So I love that so many of you take a little bit of time out to talk about it. Okay, I do see a lot of people saying the Broncos is obviously what's catching a lot of their attentions. And trust me, I totally get it. Training camp's going to be here before we know it. Truthfully, it's going to be here before we know it. The media will be able to go out there on July 24th. Practice officially opens up for the fans on the 26th. So there's a lot going on with that. I just can't believe it. The next 3 months, you guys, for me personally, are absolutely insane. So to have training camp really kick everything off, I'm like, I am not mentally prepared for it at all, but it's also going to be so much fun. If Bo Nix starts, I'm hoping that I'm going to go out to Seattle for the game too, because of course you got your rookie QB going in. I don't know who I think is going to start week one. And I think that's causing me a lot. It's hard because you want to predict things all the time, especially in this industry. Like I want to sit here and be able to predict what I think is going to happen. But it also causes so much like mental overload for me personally behind the scenes. And so I feel like sometimes I'm just like, you know what, step away and just watch whatever happens. And then I get out there for training camp and I'm like, well, Zach Wilson stunk, so he's not going to be the starting quarterback. And Bo Nix has looked relatively good. He does not look like a rookie at all. I'll just flat out say that right now. Does not look like a rookie. Bo Nix looks super solid out there at minicamp OTAs. You can tell his extra long college career definitely has helped him plenty. We're seeing a lot of the national reporters obviously talk about Bo Nix as well. So yeah, it's been really interesting to kind of see what that's going to look like. And Javonte Williams is obviously a big story. Courtland Sutton going out and hanging out with the different quarterbacks and other offensive players. I'd be really curious to see who else went out there. No other names have been attached to it. And we really didn't see any social media stuff. That was one of the big things when it was Russell Wilson was we were seeing hype videos of them all working out and all that jazz. We haven't seen any of that. It's been relatively quiet. I don't know if that's a Sean Payton rule, if they just all wanted to hang out and spend quality time together. But I do truthfully believe that there is something that is said about bonding, like going out there, having dinners together, getting out there, finding a little bit of chemistry, all that kind of stuff. So we will see for sure what ends up happening. But I like that Courtland Sutton is going out there. I do think he's going to be all in this season. He knows if he is, he can get a big contract extension possibly, or another team can buy into him. But I do not think that the Denver Broncos will get any deal done this year. We'll get to a few more comments. Let's see. Broncos and Avs, Broncos, Avs, Nuggets in that order. Bo Nix needs to be the starter, not Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson. I'm totally in on Bo Nix too. Throw him into the fire, see what he can do. You might as well learn now what the rookie can do. And then everyone tosses back though. Well, Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. Well, Alex Smith was really freaking good, okay? I mean, he wasn't amazing, but he was a solid quarterback. The Broncos don't have that. So put the guy that you want to be your future in there and see what happens. I don't know if that means like, I don't know, would they get rid of Zach Wilson? You traded for him, but like, I don't know. I think the whole situation is just so weird. I'll never forget that Monday too, right before the draft, when that trade came across, we were all like, what on earth are the Broncos doing right now? And none of it makes any sense at all. So I don't know. The whole quarterback situation does not. I still think that he was an insurance policy in case they couldn't get their guy, in case they couldn't get Bo Nix or any of the quarterbacks. That was the insurance policy, was to get Zach Wilson just to have another quarterback in the rotation. And clearly Jared Stidham's not the guy, because if he was, then you wouldn't go get other quarterbacks. And that is something I will land on. Okay. Court needs to prove himself. Simple as can be. Courtland Sutton does have to prove himself. Nobody is on the Courtland Sutton deserves a contract extension. I really haven't seen anybody, fans, media members, like nobody has said anything. So we'll see what ends up happening if they have any sort of conversation as things get around. But you guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Again, a nice solo session episode for a Tuesday. I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. Are you wanting to talk more about Broncos? We've been pretty heavy on the Nuggets because there is a lot of drama going on right there. How do you feel about the Val situation? Otherwise, it's been really quiet from the Avs besides some of their new signings. So please let me know in the comments, because again, I love chatting with you guys. It's the best part of my job. If you ever see me out in public, please come up to me. Tell me how you're feeling about the quarterback situation and everything else. It always means the world to me. But that is going to do it for this episode of Coffee Break. Love you guys all so much. And we will see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. for Denver Sports Daily, catching up on all the headlines that you need. And right back here for Coffee Break at 12 o'clock for another talk about Lord knows what. So we will see you guys then. Bye, everybody.